Hey everybody, it's been a little while since I made a video. I've been working on a bunch of projects lately, and if you follow me on Instagram mostly, you'll know that I've been working on a couple different guitar builds, and the main one is based off of a Strat that Tom DeLonge had used back around like 2002 or so, maybe even late 2001. And I believe he actually used it a little bit for around the recording for the Untitled album, which was like early 2003. So it is like a dark brown with an orange stripe. And now I didn't show the process of me painting this because I did paint this myself, but I didn't document that process just because I'm still very amateur in my painting skills, and it's not really something that I plan on really getting super good at. I mean, it's just something that I thought I'd take a whack at and see how it turned out. And honestly, it's 100% not a professional job, but I am very happy with the way it turned out. I'll show you the paints and stuff that I used, but I mean, everything was basically just a guess. I mean, I had talked to the guy that worked in the Fender custom shop who built Tom's guitars, and he told me, most of these colors that he used on Tom's guitars back in the day weren't even official Fender colors. They were just color matches that they had, mixed to a guess, and he actually told me the brown and orange combo was something that Jen DeLonge had come up with at the time. She really liked the color combo, and I think it's really cool. I mean, for the longest time I really thought this was a black guitar. I thought it was black with an orange stripe because, I mean, in some lights it is very dark. Other lighting, I got the light right above me, and it's definitely brightening it up a bit. And in some lighting, it is. In some of the pictures that I've seen, on the stages, you could definitely tell that it's, a brown, and it looks this sort of shade. So I looked around, I tried to find something that I thought might match it fairly well, and I couldn't find a Fender color to do it. I just couldn't. Fender does have a color called cocoa brown, I believe. I think they also do a cocoa transparent, but it's very rare. They did some stuff in the 70s with it, but it's really not something in their catalog as far as I've seen. And so I went to where I usually go to get my spray paint stuff, because I do everything with aerosols, or at least that's what I did with my blue Telecaster when I painted that, and that was the only other guitar I painted. But I looked through there, and they didn't really have any brown colors other than something that they would use for like a tobacco burst kind of guitar. So that wasn't really what I was looking for. So went by my local hardware store and was just going through the Rust-Oleum stuff, and they had this color which is called French Roast. It's gloss French Roast, and I tested it out, and I thought it was pretty close. I mean, judging by just the pictures that I had, pictures that are 15 years old, I mean, it was about as close as I was going to get. I mean, there was a darker shade I could have gone with, but I didn't think it really matched with some of the other pictures that I had seen. And, just judging on the colors samples that I had used, it kind of seemed close to me. I mean, it kind of had the lights when I put it in the right light. It kind of had the dark when I, put it in the shadow a little bit. So I thought it was a good way to go. Now, this is from a company called Gracie's, and this is actually nitrocellulose lacquer made for guitars. The Rust-Oleum is just an all-purpose, cheap spray paint. And so this, for example, is the same company that I used to paint the Telecaster, that Taos turquoise blue color. and this stuff is awesome. I mean, it's a little expensive. I think it's close to $20 a can, and shipping's pretty expensive too because it is expensive to ship aerosols. That being said, I used this company for a few of the different layers. Basically, I used a sealer coat, which just fills in the grain. So what you want to do, like, this is an alder body, so thankfully it's not very porous, but I used the filler, or the sealer, I mean, and I just sanded it down so it was all nice and smooth, and then I did the orange over that. So the orange is the second layer, and then I taped it off. And a lot of people are asking me for the dimensions on this, and honestly, there's really no dimensions to go by. I totally eyeballed it, and all I used was just painter's tape. So what I did was, I think this is like regular, like 1-inch painter's tape in the middle here. So I just did that. I was like, yep, that looks pretty close. And then I just took the same painter's tape and I just trimmed it. That's all I really did. Judging on the photos of Tom's that Blink-182 had posted on Instagram a while back, it looked like it was about 1/2 inch away from the Strat button. So I just kind of judged, you know, where I wanted it to be. And to be honest, I mean, looking at the examples that I had seen, this is a little bit thicker than on the original guitar. You know, I realized that afterwards. So it's not perfect, and you know, it is what it is. So after that, I like I said, I covered it, and you can see that it only goes basically to the ends of the curves, which is how a typical Fender will go. I just tried to make that as straight as possible. It wasn't perfect, but it came out okay. So after that, what I should have done is sprayed orange again over the tape. That was actually a trick I learned from my girlfriend who paints all the time. But frankly, I learned that trick, you know, 1/2 hour too late. So I ended up just going straight brown over it, and I don't know how many coats of the brown I did, but it was at least, you know, 10 coats probably, maybe more. And then once everything dried, I just slowly peeled the tape off, hoping that there wasn't going to be any bleed from the brown over the orange, because that's what would have really helped if I had done the orange over the over the tape. It would have kind of sealed it in there, and if anything had gotten under, it would have just been the orange, which was already there. But something for next time. So there was a little bit of brown that had gotten in there, and I just very meticulously, you know, just scraped at it with a razor blade. And honestly, it's not perfect, but from far away, you could never really tell. I mean, if you're looking really close, then yeah, there's definitely some imperfections. You know, like I said, I'm certainly not a professional, but it came out pretty cool. So after that, you know, there's some sanding in between coats here and there, just to try and get the imperfections away. And then I just used the same Gracie's clear coat, basically just a clear finish, and that's basically where I'm at now. I don't know how many coats I've done, maybe like 1.5 cans of it, and this is about as close as I'm gonna get it to perfect. Realistically, what they suggest you do is use maybe like 3 cans, I think it says, and then, you know, doing some sanding in between coats, and then, you know, buffing it for, you know, a long time. And I don't have, you know, a buffing wheel. I know they make attachments for drills, but I mean, I don't really want to mess with any of that, and I'm totally happy with the way that it is now. Like I said, I'm not Fender, you know, it's never gonna be a perfect thing, so I'm happy with it as is. So that's basically it for the body. I mean, I just got some of the other parts in today, so I will be starting assembling things pretty soon. I'll do a different video for that process, because a lot of people have been asking about, you know, me doing more build videos. You know, a lot of people seem to like that, so I'll try to do as much of that as I can. I'll try to find a way to do more about the paint process in the future. Like I said, I don't plan on making painting a really big thing for me in my channel. I mean, realistically, I'd like to get pre-painted bodies, you know, either by Warmouth or, you know, Fender made stuff, whatever. That's definitely what I'd prefer. But you know, I wanted to tackle this one for a while now, and I'm definitely glad that I did it. I ended up getting a Warmouth neck, you know, pretty standard, like the last build that I did with the teal green metallic. The only difference being this is a satin finish on this one compared to the gloss finish that was on that neck. Still the standard thin contour. It's got medium jumbo frets, clay dots, and I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to add the inlays to the guitar knot, because on Tom's it actually has the Mason, like the Freemason logos in there, and I'm pretty sure it's Freemason only up until maybe the 12th fret or something. I'd have to look closer at some pictures, but I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to add those at all. I might not. It's got a nice little bit of flame on there too, which is cool. You know, nothing too crazy, but you know, something subtle. I do have some Spurzl locking tuners, which is what Tom is known for using. This time around, I ended up going for a different version. The one that I used on the teal Strat has you drilling a couple pilot holes to the back of the neck, which you actually should have a jig to do. I do have a little jig that I bought from stumac.com that perfectly lines up exactly where to put those guide holes to line them all up. But this style doesn't have those. It just has a couple little teeth under the tuners that just kind of hold it in place as you tighten it, which is really cool. I've seen some Fender tuners like that. I've seen some Klusons, some Schallers do that. So it should be a little bit easier to deal with. Now I also have another older 69 or 1969 style logo that I'm going to put on here. I'll show you how I do it. There's a few videos on YouTube already showing how to do it, and that's how I learned how to do it. I got the same style string tree up in, you know, my case up there that I didn't grab, but I got the Fender American Hardtail bridge. This is what I use on pretty much all of my builds. It's one of my favorite bridges, if not my favorite. It's super comfortable, and it just looks really cool too. I ended up going with the neck version of the Invader, just because it's a preference for me. As I've learned in the past, and as I've shared on one of my older videos, from the guy that worked on all of Tom's guitars, he told me 100% of the time he always put the bridge Invader in Tom's guitars. So, like I said, this is just a preference for me. I've been using the neck Invader in my Fiesta Red Strat, and I've just really grown to like it. It's a very, very similar sound. It's just not as hot, and it's just not as difficult to manage. You know, when you're using the bridge pickup, it's very, very hot, and it's very in your face, which, you know, is the essence of punk rock basically. But with this, it's a little more versatile. It's a little easier to get those cleaner in between sort of tones, and you know, I've just grown to prefer it these days, and frankly I don't think anybody that played it would really find an issue with it, but you never know. Other than that, just a couple other little parts that I got to work on, but like I said, I'll work on a separate video showing me just doing the assembly process, and I'll be working on some covers fairly soon once everything's finished, and then I don't know, I'll most likely list it for sale pretty soon, but I'm not 100% sure on that yet. So keep an eye out. Follow me on Instagram if you are interested in seeing more, you know, behind the scenes pictures, or you know, if I list it for sale, that'll probably be the first place that I mention it. It'll go up on my Reverb page, but usually I post like my quick little updates to my Instagram page. That's just grown to be a good little community and kind of my go-to page for just talking about, you know, gear I'm letting go. So if you guys have any questions or comments at all, feel free to let me know. And yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be cool. So see you later, and yeah, hopefully I'll have a video about the next step fairly soon. So I'll see you later.